During her speech at the America Fest this past weekend, because apparently that's a thing, Marjorie Taylor Greene told the crowd that the state of New York has passed a law that allows them to forcibly detain, possibly even forcibly vaccinate anyone that the state deems to be a public health threat. Now that's pretty intense, right? I mean, New York officials can just come up to you and be like, hey, we believe you're a threat. You're going to go be locked in a jail cell until you're willing to get this vaccine or until we forcibly inject it into your veins. We don't want that in the United States. So it's no wonder the crowd responded with horror when Marjorie Taylor Greene told this story. But unfortunately, that's exactly what it was. A story. It's fiction. That's not a law on the books in the state of New York. It's not a law on the books anywhere in this country, as far as I know. And when reached for comment, Marjorie Taylor Greene's people sent a link to a piece of legislation that has been sponsored actually 4 different times now by a New York assemblyman by the name of Nick Perry. Nick Perry has put forward this piece of legislation that wouldn't quite go as far, by the way, as what Marjorie Taylor Greene is suggesting, but it would, in fact, allow people that the state deems to be public health threats to be detained, for a couple days or possibly up to 60 days. Of course, the state would also have the authority to override this. Health professionals could override this if they believe the person is not a public health threat. And Mr. Perry, as I said, has put forward this legislation 4 different times. And none of those times has it actually even been brought to the floor for a vote, because even the Democrats in this assembly understand that's a bit extreme. That really kind of goes beyond the scope of what we're able and allowed, of course, constitutionally to do. And I understand where Nick Perry's heart is on this, right? We don't want another Typhoid Mary type situation, especially with COVID running rampant and Omicron and Delta and all that. And that, of course, is what this is a response to. So if we have somebody out there that is knowingly spreading COVID, intentionally, then yes, they would be a public health threat. We could detain them. Not all that bad on paper. But at the same time, you can't criminalize being sick. We already have laws in place saying that you cannot knowingly infect another person with a potentially deadly disease. So we don't need this additional piece of legislation because, to her credit, to Marjorie Taylor Greene's credit, I will say this is exceptionally extreme legislation that I do not support. But Marjorie Taylor Greene couldn't talk about it in the sense that, hey, look at what the Democrat wants to do. Right? You could have actually said something accurate had you phrased it like that. But instead, you told that crowd who doesn't know any better that this was already a law on the books. Which, of course, again, it is not. It's so extreme that it hasn't even been brought up for a vote. Marjorie Taylor Greene just always happens to be her own worst enemy, right? You could have had a win. You could have made it seem like, hey, look at this extremist out there. Instead, all the fact checkers had to look at this and go and report how you lied to that audience. Not that that audience will know it, but the rest of the country who reads those reports will understand what is going on. And of course, they'll understand that you don't know the difference between sponsoring an outrageous piece of legislation and actually getting it passed into law.